Hey there, I hope you're well rested because it's time for, part 4 of the Summer Games Fest Chud Wars controversies? The previous videos were about God of War's legacy, terrible Western character design tropes for our new age female heroes, a response, and today we're going to dive into the Stellar Blade sequel sewage where the radiation is at its highest. Because of course nothing ruins your narrative that gamers just hate women more than gamers getting excited and starting to cosplay and draw fan art of a brand new game starring a female protagonist. It must have been a big shock for all the lobotomites to keep repeating the same argument. But still, that's just the surface. Stellar Blade Bloodbrain's controversy has layers, and we're going to have some fun dipping into that today. Sorry in advance for the video being late, but I wanted to take my time scouring online for all the cringe, the bad takes, and the seething, plus I wanted to cover the previous ones first. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. If you find yourselves enjoying the ride along the way, consider dropping a like or subscribing if you're new for more spaghetti in the future. I really liked the first game. It was a day one purchase for me during a time where I wasn't even making content for YouTube and where day one purchases were strictly reserved for stuff that I was legitimately interested in, especially considering the full price. Stellar Blade stood out not only because of how it unashamedly presented a highly detailed and deliberately appealing protagonist, but also the style of game that it was, with that mix of fast-paced action with just enough built into it to make you sweat a little bit. Also, the combat was pretty challenging too. Okay, maybe that joke was way too predictable, but it's there for a reason, because as much as I did genuinely like the full package that this game provided, again, that mix of combat and exploration wrapped up in a package that felt more like old school fun than a more serious or grounded game, as is usually the case with Sony's first-party titles, as much of a great time that I had completing everything in every area of the game, including the DLC content that came along after, this game kind of always came into relevancy online because of the controversy instead. It was always this mix of events where someone would post a spicy screenshot of Eve, and then a bunch of pearl-clutching Karens and soy boys would come out and call the game a gooner game, as if it had nothing else to offer except for that. Well, if that's the case, then what the hell was this? Sadly though, I think Stellar Blade's sequel will be the exact same way, for better or for worse. Personally, the things that have excited me the most about it was seeing new weapons and combat variety being introduced, plus this whole gorgeous section here with the living, breathing city. No clue if we'll be able to traverse it, but one way or another, I would say that we are in for at least a pretty good development of the first game's lore, story, and world building, which was desperately needed and one of the things that the director promised we would see in a sequel. I can't wait to see what the lore states about the events of the first game, can't wait to dive into the improved combat with the new types of weapons and enemies, can't wait to see what else they built on top of the first game's solid foundation. Really, I'm excited. I saw this game and I was like, yes, thank you. Even though it's definitely still far away and the trailer was just probably dropped to see if Shift Up can pick up some more investments along the way, provided that the trailer does well, which it did, so I think they're going to get what they needed from there. But instead of all of these cool things, what has the discourse about Stellar Blade Blood Rain been about? Well,
what up, boys? It's your boy Skeet Hansen out here in Vegas, Sin City, baby, because we have quite the catch today. He got caught in 4K. In the last couple months, he's been talking to an actual, factual 15-year-old girl.
That's it. It's been a party with people calling each other nonsense and trying to make the claim that the studio is deliberately making a game for the absolute worst people that society has to offer. A game that should be illegal. I have a few examples to show you which I'll be responding to since you homies seem to enjoy that. But first, I'm just going to give you my take on the situation and shed some light on what I think is the real issue at play here, which can be summed up to us out here in the West having gotten our cultures hijacked by an unquenchable desire to make everything mid. Let's get into it. I totally understand why people are noting that Evie looks younger. I don't think there's even a question about that. It's something that the director of the game even spoke about himself. How they wanted a character that looked smaller and younger than Eve. Because besides the desire for a better story and more of a dive into lore and world building, another thing that people wanted coming off of the first game was a protagonist with more personality. So the developers heard people out, and that's the intent with Evie. She's meant to have a much stronger personality than Eve. I would assume from the look that maybe they're going for something like maybe a more bratty or more impatient character, perhaps? I guess we'll see. Personally, I didn't really have an issue with Eve in that regard. She was a quiet, caring, docile soul, which fit perfectly into the designation given to airborne squad members like her, which is Angel. Eve is called Angel all the time, it's their designation, and that's the aura that she gave off. We can see throughout the game that she does have a personality. She's very caring. She takes her job very seriously and cares deeply for the people of Earth. Part of that was also another thing that made this game stand out a little bit, because we were kind of going through an epidemic of female characters who acted very obnoxiously. While I do wish that we would have gotten more of Eve established and developed in future games, I'm not against the introduction of a new character, especially as it seems that Evie is tied to Eve in a way that we will discover when we play. Evie does look younger, but saying that she looks like a straight up child is a bit much considering so many factors. Number one, the trailer was pretty inconsistent. There were a couple of shots, like this one, where she looked way younger than in the rest of the trailer. And number two, she behaved and spoke like an adult. I'll develop much more on this during my responses in the next timestamp. Most importantly though, number 3. There's a massive cultural issue going on right now. Out here in the Western games industry, we've been getting bombarded with awful looking character designs for so long that it's gotten a bunch of people conditioned to unnecessary blemishes and skin details, especially for our female characters. And when these blemishes and skin details are missing, some people say it looks like a child. This isn't only wrong to do, it's unfair. Even our quote-unquote young characters suffer this issue. For example, Horizon. In the first game, Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy is around 18 years old. I don't think it's ever specified as a number, but it's alluded to because the Proving, which is a tribal trial that you do during the prologue, is meant to signify when boys become men and girls become women. The sequel to that game, Horizon Forbidden West, is set a mere 6 months or so after the last game's finale. This is how Aloy Aloy looked during the entire first game, and here she is about 6 months later. This is how much older they made Aloy look, and really the biggest reason for why it looks so odd is the exaggeration in the texture details put on the skin and all the blemishes they added, such as acne, redness, skin folds, wrinkles, etc. Seriously, I'm a dude, I'm older than Aloy, and I don't have that many wrinkles or folds on my damn face, man. I don't even do skincare stuff or anything. I'll be real, dudes. I shower, I splash water in my face every now and then, and that's it. I deadass have better skin than Aloy as an 18 or 19-year-old girl. Again, this is not normal. This is a Western character design issue. In South Korea, on the other hand, culture is much different. They're not obsessed over imperfections. If anything, they're very keen on trying to look as good and young as possible. This alone will already have you look up some singers, stars, you know, like K-pop stuff, etc. over there, that are like in their 30s while still looking to us as if they're in their early 20s or even in their teens. Like our culture over here in the West, I speak for myself as a European, and I'm sure many homies in North America, South America, and even places like Australia can relate. Our culture has changed drastically over the past 10 to 15 years, with a severe hyperscaling of it in the past 6 years or so. We went from seeing normal advertisements up on sports billboards featuring fit people, like for example Nike ads, right? To featuring fat women because of this insanely anti-logic push by big money, big media, and big corporations to redefine what beauty and fitness looks like. It's a total shot in the foot when it comes to marketing too, because of course you're not having the same effect if you advertise your sportswear on morbidly obese people. But it happened. While people have been kind of shifting against that utter lunacy over the past couple of years, remnants of that still exist today, and some of it feels like permanent damage that we'll never get rid of, such as what they do to female characters in the West like Aloy and for example Faye in the upcoming God of War game. It's this thing where we're strictly forbidden to display or glorify beauty. We literally have given ourselves up to nihilism and cynicism. It's kind of like, oh well, I don't look as good as an idealistic version of a fictional character, therefore the character and all of society must change to accommodate my cope. Instead of the normal and much more positive and productive mentality of seeing beauty or fitness or whatever and taking it up as motivation to improve ourselves in what we can. And also, of course, just take joy in seeing awesome designs be given to awesome characters. It's all just so silly to put into words because this is the reality that I still remember growing up in. But then it all started to change, and it wasn't a natural change, it was a forced one. It was and still is imposed on us. We must see it this way because if we don't, then it's some sort of bigotry against the world. And like for what? Just for acknowledging the truth of a matter and wanting to strive for positive things? Our culture is broken. In South Korea, this hasn't happened. Beauty, youth, and good looks still matter. They haven't replaced their fitness or fashion advertisements with Rosie O'Donnell. It's just a totally different culture and a totally different standard for beauty, and this is what I want them to reflect in their games, by the way. I don't want Eastern developers bending and breaking to Western sensibilities. I don't care even if Asmongold himself was one of the people saying that she looked too young. The goddamn Pope could be saying that. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I want Eastern developers to make games in their way. If I want games with Western sensibilities or Western types of character designs and tropes and whatnot, then I'll buy a Western game. If I'm buying games from Eastern studios, I want them to make the games in their own way. I don't want what's been happening with companies like Square Enix to happen here. I don't want out-of-touch, brain-broken executives to come down on developers and tell them that they have to make their games a certain way in order for them to be sold in the West based on Western sensibilities, standards, and tastes that we don't even have. It's all lies, it's all bullshit cooked up by localizers and consultants who have no respect for the source content and are just doing this for activism. Sorry for that big ranty detour. So back to the point. Number 1, inconsistent trailer. Number 2, clear adult characteristics. And number 3, cultural barrier. So honestly, yeah, no, I'm not worried about this situation at all. It's not bothering me in the least. Besides, as soon as edited images started circling the internet internet of Eevee with longer hair, a lot of people changed their tune. And I'm pretty sure that much like in the first game, we'll be able to have different hairstyles in the sequel. Something else that's very important is this entire thing was definitely overblown by people who have hated the first game and any other games like it that feature aesthetically pleasing female characters and fan service, such as, you know, First Ascendant, Marvel Rivals, Nier Automata, etc. Some of these pricks are going as far as to pretend like they never hated the original Stellar Blade. That Eve was fine, because she was clearly an adult. But Eevee isn't. Eevee is the problem, she's clearly bait for island boys, if you catch my drift. Meanwhile, it's all bullshit. When Stellar Blade released, they were saying the exact same thing about Eve, calling her a 14-year-old design because of her face. Now, 2 years later, supposedly, Eve is clearly an adult design, but Eevee is the one who looks 14 years old. Yeah, sure thing, buddy. It's always hilarious to me how these memes always fit so well. With Stellar Blade 2, it's like, ah man, actually, Stellar Blade 1 was fine, but this is disgusting. With Stellar Blade 1, it was like, actually, Nier Automata was fine, but this is disgusting. With Nier Automata, it was, actually, Bayonetta was fine, but this is disgusting. With Bayonetta, it was, actually, Tomb Raider was fine, but this is disgusting. And on this stupid shit goes. Always nothing but a LARP from Anita Sarkeesian types. It's dishonesty at maximum level. Bullshit on top of more bullshit. How much money do you want to bet that if Bella Ramsey, someone who notably looks like a kid, was cast to be the protagonist of Stellar Blade Blood Rain, most of these people would pipe down instantly and just praise it? Well, except for Chud Chuddington from Chudsville, of course. It's also very ironic how just a month ago we had that whole thing go down with Mixtape. I covered the controversy and I even suffered through the game for a full review if you guys are interested in checking it out. There was that nasty scene, don't worry, I won't play it again, where he controlled the tongues of two teenagers while they were mushing their mouths together. And nobody said a peep. I mean, many of us did, but we were called grifters and chuds for it. Really guys, at the end of the day, just as it was with Eve, the problem isn't that these characters look too young. It's just a false strawman to make it easier for them to attack these games. The real problem is these games with characters that are designed to be unashamedly beautiful, feminine, and attractive exist as a piece of something that we lost in this weird time of culture wars. A piece of our past where we didn't feel ashamed or disgusted or afraid of beauty as if it was some kind of weird oppressive thing. A piece of our past that some people desperately don't want us to reclaim, because if we do, it's like opening the Pandora's box to a huge shift back to reality where other lies that we have to keep telling ourselves suddenly get cracks in them too. So anyway, in conclusion of this point, maybe there's a few people out there who are genuinely feeling iffy about the design. They may be skipping on the game or waiting for further trailers or gameplay that better shows the character to make sure it's something that they want to play. But it's nothing to write home about, and I have no beef with you if that's your case. But who I do have beef with is these boys that we're going to get into responding right now.
Oh fuck, here we go again. Here we go again.
As usual, I never really know where to start with these responses, so let's just go with this dude. A usual presence in online controversies and the main character of our last video. Always has to give his 2 cents. Originally, he posted his raw take, which is that this character looks like a 12-year-old, and therefore is deliberately pandering to PDFs. Again, I can't emphasize just how serious it is to make such a claim. Like, this isn't like joking around like, oh, this game is for retards, oh, this game is for wokies. You know, we're talking about an actual serious criminal type of accusation where a studio is essentially making CP and selling it in the open market. And it's based in nothing too. Like, it's just this guy's way of seeing the character. Like, he personally feels this way about the character, and therefore his claim is that that's it, that's what the character is, that's what it exists for, and therefore obviously it shouldn't exist in media, like it shouldn't be sold. Of course, he got totally cooked in the comments of the post because number 1, that's how he views the character. Number 2, that's where his mind went immediately. Like, he sees this trailer and that's the first thing his mind goes to. Sexualizing the character for no reason. And then number 3, there's things in the trailer that show that this is clearly not a kid. So then he deleted the post and made another one where he just says nothing. He just posts 2 pictures side by side of Eve and Evie, and he just goes, But yeah, that didn't really work though. People just popped up in this comment section to cook him some more for deleting the previous post. And even though I don't want to center this on this guy like the last video, because of course it's not just him saying this kind of nonsense about the character being pedobait, there are these responses of his that are so nonsensical, so stupid, and so representative of the type of people who are trying to take Stellar Blade down for this claim that, again, I just have to show it to you guys. So have a look at this. This dude puts up a partial body picture of the character where it's visible that it's not a kid, it's an adult body. And his response is to acknowledge that yes, that is the body of an adult, but that they can put a much younger looking face on it. And at this point, we're entering the royally cooked zone, because what are we even doing now? If this studio is supposed to be pandering to Jimmy Savile's fan club, why would the character have the body of a developed adult? Like, what's even the logic here? If the face is something that is debatable and the body is clearly adult, what are we doing? Again, why are these people so secure in their accusations of what this is? And what does this even say about all these women out there who have these baby faces? There's even some guys who are like that too, you know, they look very young for their age. If someone dates these types of people, what, should they be put on a list somewhere? This other guy also called out how Nib's mind went straight to the sexualization and questioned if it's projection. His response was, so if someone wants more police or crime prevention, they're a criminal? That's the logic you're going with here? Police? Crime prevention? Brother, it's a fucking video game. It's pixels on a screen. I've been seeing so many unhinged takes in the last couple of months that come from this exact type of issue of people not being able to separate reality from fiction that I may as well make that shit my new catchphrase. You can't ban content nor accuse people of severely serious shit, especially a fucking studio making video games, without a single leg to stand on all of the nonsense that you're spewing, and just cover it up by saying, oh, I'm just standing up for police and crime prevention. Well, what's the problem with that? What are you, a criminal? By that logic, we wouldn't have Pragmata either. Same kind of drama happened. Oh no, a little child character in a video game, and video games are sold to what? Ooh, to, men, the disgusting grown men. This is appealing to predators. That's what this game exists for. What are you getting mad at me? I'm just standing up for, police and crime prevention. This is why I hate censorship advocates so much. It's because they don't understand how harmful and powerful what they're talking about is. They don't respect the power and the consequence factor of censorship. If they did, they'd be talking about it with respect to sure things, but instead, it's just loosey-goosey shit for Twitter points and ad revenue. It's characters like Evie where this moron admits has the body of an adult and also admits it's shaky enough of a situation where he's willing to delete his previous post where he made the claim just to make a more ambiguous one for people to make up their mind. Well, excuse me, brother, but if we're talking about something ambiguous enough that people can make up their own mind, why are we advocating for the censoring of it and making these strong claims of it being deliberately done to pander to the worst society has to offer? But anyway, moving on to another poster, this one here was a riot. Stellar Blade sequel is already its biggest disaster. Shift Up revealed Stellar Blade Blood Rain at Summer Game Fest, and people immediately accused the studio of sexualizing a character who may look like— he claimed it too. Who looks like a child? Well, okay, sure. Well, alrighty then. Still, what's the difference, brother? How is this news? The exact same thing happened with the first Stellar Blade. The new heroine Evie replaced Eve, and the internet has not stopped fighting since. Really? Is that so? We're fighting now? Where's this guy getting his news from? Yorch Torch? The lobotomite who says the entire fanbase is divided and this was a destructive business decision by Shift Up? Let's look at how split the fanbase is. Oh, ouch. What's even funnier though is that if you step away from the absolute sewer that is Twitter discourse and you just check out some comments on the trailers, It's dominated by people who are just excited for the game, excited even for the notion that there is a Stellar Blade 2 coming, and coming for various platforms, because I think a lot of people didn't know that Shift Up separated from Sony. But yeah, that was news about a year or so ago. They separated themselves from Sony and they were able to keep their IP rights for Stellar Blade. So Stellar Blade 2 Blood Rain is going to be a multi-platform game. But in the mind of the Lulu Torch, Shift Up just signed their studio's death warrant, and it's all driven by a personal bias too, because this guy legitimately thinks that the studio has gone woke because he looks at Eevee and says that it's a boy. I don't know, he deadass looked at this right here and he thought that it looked like a man. Now, fellas, you know, I don't know what kind of man your Torch has been looking at on the internet, but far be it from me to judge. I mean, it is June, right? We're in the middle of Pride Month, so more power to the guy. But he needs to. It's going a little too far. He needs to stop. Whatever he's doing, he should probably put a stop to it for a little while. Let me show you some more examples of this pesky, annoying mindset of theirs. This here is another one of those popular Twitter sewage accounts, but in French, so you know it's going to be good. Sorry, but I find it super creepy that the character in the new Stellar Blade has childlike features in some screenshots. Then he retweets a news post that talks about how the director for the game said that they intentionally made Eevee to be a bit shorter and look a bit younger than Eve, for motives that we will discover in the story. This lobotomite straight up says that the devs admit that the game is made for PDF files. That's it. Another one of these claims. And I'm sorry guys, I hate having to mask language, but it's necessary in cases like this. It even makes it kind of poetic. That's how serious these accusations are, that's how serious this word is. But these people, they just lay it out like that. Then, in another instance, the cherry on top of the cake, bro retweets a post comparing a female soldier from Gears of War 3 and a female soldier from Gears of War E-Day, which is coming up later this year. He writes, "It's insane. I feel like men only see women as objects of desire, as if they don't even have the right to exist in the video game under your beauty standards. It's so pathetic. Really deranged people." So let me get this straight, French boy. If Xbox or Canadian, he might be Canadian too, by the way. He might be one of those French Canadians. I don't know. So if Xbox decides that they want to make women who look like men and put them in video games, that should be fine because Xbox has the right to express their own beauty standards or to even challenge those of others. The only thing that matters is that it's Xbox's vision, and Xbox is telling you that that's a woman, and therefore shut up, that's a woman, play the game, stop being a chud. But if a studio from South Korea decides to create a younger, bratty style of protagonist for their sequel that is even representative of their idol culture and the beauty standards in their country, and they tell you that it is a goddamn adult, then they're deliberately making a game for pedos. What the f is this? Like, they're really not sending their best, are they? Let's have another one. This one is courtesy of a YouTube guy, and you fellas know how much I love YouTube guys. And much like the other dude from before, he also deleted his own post, because of course he did. These people see something, then they try to immediately virtue signal about it as loudly as they can, you know, to get those pathetic internet points. Then things don't go as planned in the comment sections, and they delete their posts. This one comes courtesy of cult classic Cage, who archived it. She makes videos here for YouTube as well, except hers aren't caked in garbage. So check her out if you're interested. Bro says, "As hyped as I am for Stellar Blade Blood Rain, anyone saying that Eevee doesn't look uncomfortably young in some shots is either weird or simply lying to themselves. There's a reason why everyone initially thought that this was a prequel and not a sequel. And here's the deal, guys. Before I show you this more on second post, I'm actually going to answer this in good faith. Here's the rub. In some shots, Eevee does look slightly younger than anything I'm used to in Western entertainment. I'm not going to cope and say that she looks like a child or uncomfortably young because I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't uncomfortable when I was watching the trailer. My reaction to it is what I told you earlier. I was excited for a sequel with new combat variety and an extension of the lore. This weird shit where people immediately go for sexualizing the character and trying to measure the goddamn age, it's just something that I can't even relate to. Sorry. Now, keyword in his very own post, looks younger in some shots. So it's back to what I said earlier, where the trailer is inconsistent. It just says what happened with the trailer for Witcher 4 all the way back in Winterfest games, whatever the f it's called.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Where the trailer for Witcher 4 was presented. In some shots, Ciri looked great. In other shots, she looked weird. And at the end of the day, neither of those shots were gameplay. They were cinematics that sometimes looked different than in-game models. I didn't shit my pants, I just went, well, I guess I'll just wait for more footage of Witcher 4 before I make up my mind. Same with this game. In these very shots he used, this can be seen. The ones where she has that cape on, she looks younger. You could maybe pass that on as a teenager, but then in the ones where she's in the white combat outfit, she looks older. So again, there's an inconsistency there. Because I'm not a lobotomite, I don't take that and start making claims that the studio is making gooner content out of a minor character. I just chalk it up as something to see and confirm later, when, you know, we have more footage. We have far more signs that this is an adult than otherwise, such as, again, the body and the voice. Also, guys, please. Who the fuck? So let me get this straight. You got Shift Up, they're a South Korean studio. They began making games, you know, they were already making a lot of like, you know, they were doing Nikkei and stuff, right? It's, what is it called? Gacha game type of stuff, right? And so then they look at the games industry, they're like, you know what, we want a piece of that. So they get in through Sony's initiative that they had back then, and I don't know if it's still running now or not, it doesn't really matter, where they were trying to uplift Eastern game studios. The same thing is what birthed the game from last year, Lost Soul Aside. So let me get this right? So Shift Up joins this whole thing because they want to level up, right? They want to stop making just gacha money. They want to get into the big leagues with actual video games for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. They make a banger, they sell it, it does pretty well. Later one year, releases on PC, it does even better than it did on PlayStation. They find a way to separate themselves from Sony and still keep their IP. They're hungry for more, they're trying to get investments out there and all that shit, and now they would sacrifice all of that by making a game where you play as a kid and it's sexualized.
What are you, fucking stupid?
What are we doing? What is this? Did I fall through a black hole and landed in the idiocracy world or something? You know, that's the end of the little good faith response, because his next post, the one that he replaced this one with, is so disingenuous, dude. Quote, "The discourse around Eevee's looks in Stellar Blade Blood Rain is quite silly, and both sides are cherry-picking images like crazy. She looks sus in certain shots, but she also looks like a normal young Asian woman in others. It's almost like as if it's still in early development." Bitch, you literally did that yourself. You did that yourself and then you deleted it like a goddamn roach, and now you come out and you play mediator after stoking those flames yourself by saying that anybody who doesn't think she looks uncomfortably young is weird or lying. What a bunch of roaches, man. And speaking of roaches, we gotta touch on Asmongold for a second, because he's also been involved with this mess. His reaction to the trailer and then further comments online have stated that he thinks the character looks too young. This sparked a whole huge debate that I'm not going to cover. It would take way too long, and it's just, fellas, honestly, I don't even care about it. In short, he began debating with people online about lolly content and people who enjoy it. He made arguments about how people who engage with that kind of content have certain proclivities. This got him into even more hot water, because then this obviously invites all manner of other matters. Like, for example, can it be said that people who engage with violent video games have violent proclivities? And that one is as old as time. We've been there like 30 years ago already, with politicians trying to screw the games industry because of violent video games. Sadly, most of this was on Twitter, so you're not going to find this on his channel. There were actually really great arguments made against claims of his, including evidence and data points. You know, Madame Savvy came in, she also helped in that, bringing up studies that show that there's no correlation and shit like that, but you know, it's all in the sewage of Twitter now. And regardless, I don't want to rehash that, I just want to touch on this. This is a clip from one of his streams. There's some visuals up on screen which are from Valid Clips, an account on social media that clipped it, and it's him doubling down on how Eevee is too young and then proceeding to go off on a chatter that brought up Frieren. So just go ahead and listen to his line of thinking.
A lot of people are really angry at me for saying this. They say woke individuals be like, we love women as long as they're androgynous, have broad shoulders and a man jaw, look feminine, we hate women. And so I responded back to this. I was like, not gonna lie, I think this character looks too young, and I don't think her voice actress matches her appearance either. Even the first game was perfect. This one I'm not as big fan of. Maybe I'm becoming an old man, that's just my 2 cents. Still looking forward to the game though. So this got a lot of people mad. It did. It got a lot of people pissed off. I'm Asian. My sister looks like that. She's 26. I don't know any. So here's the way I see it. All right. Pick a side, bro. That doesn't look like a an adult. I'm sorry. That looks like a kid. It does. She could pass for 19. I don't think so, bro. I don't. And I'm sorry. You defended Frieren though? Because Frieren's not a lolly, you retard. What are you talking about? Frieren's a lolly. She's a 1,000-year-old elf. She talks like an adult. She has adult tendencies. She never acts like a child. Her proportions are not childlike. She has a role of an adult in the anime. There is nothing about Frieren that is childlike in any capacity. If you think that, you are retarded. You are retarded and you should not be allowed to vote. If you think Frieren is a lolly, you should not be allowed to vote. That's I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it because somebody has to. This is crazy. These people are insane. They're insane. It is the amount of intentional, deliberate, like drawn out misunderstandings that they do for no reason. What are they doing with this? This is outrageous. What the fuck is wrong with them?
This dude seriously needs to get rid of that stupid-ass rainbow shirt because he's losing his mind one day at a time since he put it on. Every single thing that he said about Frieren can be directly applied to Eevee. Every single one. This dude is crashing the whole way out over that comparison and he doesn't even notice what he just said. And the thing isn't even that Frieren is a lolly, that isn't even the goddamn question because she's not. It's just that the same mindset isn't being applied consistently. Frieren is a 1,000-year-old vampire. Cool, Eevee is an android. They don't really have an age. Eve was technically younger than Lily, for example, because her deployment came in after Lily's, even though Lily is designed to look younger than Eve. She talks like an adult. Asmund said the same shit about Eevee. He even said that the voice doesn't match because of that. She has adult tendencies. On this field, we just don't know enough about Eevee to say whether she does or doesn't. She never acts like a child. Much like the tendencies, we don't know enough about Eevee, but at no point in the trailer did she act like a child. She's acting like an adult. She's an agent doing field work tracking something down. Last I checked, children don't do that. Her proportions are not childlike. Neither are Eevee's as soon as the camera pans back and we actually get a good look at her. She has the role of an adult in the anime. Yup, just like Eevee has the role of an adult in the game, because I've also never heard of children going out and killing mutated monstrosities with their fists or blades. There's nothing about Frieren that is childlike in any capacity. Except her face. At least for anyone who wants to deconstruct it that way. The same exact way that people are doing for Eevee. I mean, look at this. She's cute as a button, especially if caught smiling like that. Anyone who wants to be that guy in chat can just go and be like, oh, she has the look of a child. And then at that point, you just dispatch them easily because duh, number one, it's an anime. Anime styles always have the tendency to make characters look younger. And number two, you can list all the things about Frieren that clearly show that the character, what makes her, is clearly that of an adult. By those same metrics, we can't assume that Eevee is a kid or a lolly, even if we are to perceive her face as young the way that Asmund did. But that's about it when it comes to him, his take, and the takes of all the folks that we went through in this video. As closing thoughts, I really don't know what to say. I kinda just... At this point, I ran out of brain. It's a character in a video game. We still don't know much about her except that she's an adult and related to Eve in some way. And really, I'm just looking forward to the game and, whether you guys like the character design or not, or you can prefer other things, like just remember, obviously it's Stellar Blade. There's going to be no shortage of outfits to wear, no shortage of hairstyles to wear, maybe even other different types of accessories. Eve had eyewear and earrings. Maybe this one will have different things. Maybe we'll have cool capes that even cover her up or some shit. That would be kind of cool. example, playing less like some Grim Reaper type. It's totally normal to like or dislike a character's design, and totally normal to want to skip out on the game or want to wait and see more. Even Asmon's take itself, like, at a surface level, at the beginning of all of this, before all of this other crap developed, his take was just that she looked a little too young for his taste, but he would play the game regardless. And there really ain't no problem with that. The problems rise when you start talking about all this other incredibly serious stuff with some of the most lobotomy-based arguments that I've ever seen, especially related to the exact same game where this already happened years ago and where people are now switching the script, where it's like, oh, Eve was actually fine, we never said anything, but this is disgusting. It's like, no, it isn't. You did say something. You said the exact same shit that you're saying about Evie. So yeah, maybe it's just tradition. Every time we get a new Stellar Blade game, this is what we're going to get. Accusations that the studio is both catering to the worst society has to offer, plus that they don't know what women look like. Even though, you know, they have women working at the studio and they model these characters with women. So yeah. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, dislike it if you didn't, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.